Hi everyone, welcome to our fifth meeting of this new Rotary year. Before we start, let's hear the housekeeping rules. Over to you, Vinay.
Thank you so much, Jess. Very good evening to all of you. As usual, please take a second to locate that microphone symbol at the bottom left of your screen. Click that if it's not closed yet so that we are on mute and can listen to all the speakers and not have too many interventions. Do make sure your video is on and that you have logged in under the name that you would want to be known by. If you're logged in a different name, you can click on your profile and just rename yourself now, and that ensures that people can recognize you easily. As the secretary just mentioned, this meeting is being recorded, and by being here, you consent to the use of this video for Rotary purposes. We will be sharing it in social media and for other purposes as well. Do make use of the chat functionality if you need to ask questions at any stage or make any comments, etc. And of course, we do have this new functionality of live transcript. Some of you might see a box called CC in the bottom bar, which live transcript written over there. If you click on that and click on show subtitle, it allows you to actually get a live translation, text translation of whatever is being spoken. You can switch it off by just hiding it from the same option. That's for those of you who, for whatever reason, are more comfortable reading the text, have struggled with some accent sometimes. And sometimes it just gives you a bit of amusement because of the way it translates some of the stuff we say. So have fun with that, don't get too distracted. And I will now hand it back to President Lewis to continue with the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Sergeant Announce Vinit. Thank you for today is your maiden address to the club. Thank you very much. You've done very well. And now to someone who has been in the club for a long time and done so much for the whole of last 12 months, who's tonight we are privileged to have her as our Toastmaster. May I now call upon Rotarian Bridget, please.
Thank you very much, President President Lewis. I'm so sorry, my God, I'm so used to it. So it's my pleasure tonight to propose a toast of that great institution, Rotary International, and to the Rotary Club of Omole Golden from the district 9110 with our guest Jide. We were expecting a guest from Germany, but he's not online yet. So can we please raise our glasses, toast to Rotary International and Omole Golden.
Rotary International, Omole Golden.
Rotary International, Omole
Golden.
International.
Thank you very much, Bridget.
Most welcome.
And we are going to be sad for a while that you're leaving, but you're not leaving for good. So we welcome you back anytime.
Absolutely. I'll be back in February next year.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I'll now share screens. We have some, of course, happy birthday celebrations coming on. Some has passed, okay, and we have wished them, namely PP Dr. Winston O, 1st of August. We have wished Dr. PP Mark Wang for 2nd of August, and also Vijay Pawani, 2nd of August. And tomorrow, our longtime Rotarian, Dr. MC Tong, 5th of August, and also another very long-time Rotarian, Dr. Patrick Chin, who is our past president, on the 9th of August. And lastly, on the 10th of August, we have Anat Palini. We wish them all the best. When we have one anniversary for August, and that is Madhu Naidu and Anu for the 10th of August. Madhu, I think, is not here yet. I'm not sure. But she is one of our new members, so we wish them the best of happy marriage. And now, may I ask Vice President Dr. Chan Siu Lun, who is also our major project chair, to just give a short address of 1-2 minutes regarding the major project proposal, please. Dr. Chan?
Sorry, couldn't find my unmute button for a moment there. Last week, we had Dr. Wong Swee Fan from the Share Report presenting to the club. And in the beginning of the year, or rather beginning of the month, and the first in the club assembly for this year, I've also presented the Share Report project as a potential major project for this coming year. So having had the presentation once by me, and then hearing from the horse's mouth last week from Dr. Wong, the board would like to propose to the club to adopt the Share Report as the major project for the year. I'll quickly just share the salient points of the project. Okay, maybe this is a bit too small. Okay, so the whole idea of the Share Report, I won't go into the details. We have already gone through that last week. Is to reduce the impact of COVID-19 on the physical, mental, and social frailty of vulnerable people. So Share Report, to recap, is basically a frailty program whereby we reach out to the vulnerable, especially the elderly who live by themselves in the with nobody to care for them, and we bring them out into the community and bond with them, and through the process of sharing a pot, cooking and sharing the food. But of course, this was all derailed when the pandemic hits. And so what the Share Report is proposing to us is that we pandemic proof it in the form of a Share Report at Home project. So how this is going to go is to be able to maintain flexibility. So this kind of like, if you compare it sort of mirror our vaccination program. You can have a fully home-based program whereby the volunteers actually bring the soup to the elderly in their homes and do the exercises with them and bond with them and share the pot with them. And it can be fully center-based, something like our vaccination center, right? The elderly get out of their house, they come together, congregate at a particular center, and they do they exercise together, and then they have soup together. And so in between these two ends, there can be different levels of hybridization. So depending on the restrictions imposed by the needs of the pandemic, or rather managing the pandemic. So how they're going to mitigate this is by means of using technology as well as good old portable stuff, right? So what they need is to have some kind of software support to organize the volunteers and to make sure that the right volunteers go to the right homes, to the right elderly, and they can measure the impact as how many people that are being reached out to, and who has been drinking the soup, who has been exercising, and so on and so forth. That's for the technology part, which will need some support. And instead of them coming out to the center, we're bringing food to them, so that we'll need food containers. So they have, I think, if you remember last week, Dr. Wong also shared with us the thermos flasks that they have sourced. So those, they need about 2,000 of those. And then they also need to have some basic exercise equipment where we will do either in person, one-on-one physical exercises with them, or they can be through Zoom, or they can come to a center, right? So for all this, there are 4 different categories of expenses. To pandemic-proof the 32 existing sites that they have, buying the thermos flasks, getting the home-based activity resources, that will come up to about 60,000. And then the plan is to start another 8 new Share Report sites over the course of the next 2 years. So initially, I thought that 8 sites over the course of these 2 years may be a little bit not too ambitious, but they say they do not start a site for the sake of starting a site, but rather they go out to the community, and it has to grow organically and generically. So that will take some time, and also for the volunteers to know the beneficiaries. So the target is to set up another 8 of these Share Report sites over the course of the next 2 years, so roughly 4 a year thereabouts, and that will cost another 24,000 thereabouts. And they have a huge army of volunteers, and so they also do volunteer appreciation programs, and that comes up to almost $2,000. And then in addition, to complement within the spectrum of hybridization, we're exploring another option of having a push cart. So this will be the mobile centers, whereby the cart can be pushed to any part. So to start a center, there need to be certain critical mass, but sometimes there is a need, but there's no critical mass. So this is where the cart comes in, and volunteers can push the cart to, say, a particular estate, and there may be, so normally one center will have about 30 or 40 beneficiaries. So in that particular part of the estate, maybe there's only like 10. So a card can serve that a community of that size. Right, that's all for me right now. I do not want to take up more time. I'll circulate the information, and then members can think about it, and we'll present this at the next meeting for a decision to be made. Right now, if there are any questions, I'm happy to take a couple.
Okay, so if there's no question for today, we thank Dr. Chan for this short sharing. But rest assured, we are going to circulate via email to all members details about this program so that we can digest a little bit more. And what we want is, of course, for all members to, think through, and when you support this project, the board would like you to actually endorse it wholeheartedly after knowing exactly what we are going to do, how it's going to be implemented, and how this is not just going to be a one-year project, it is going to be a long-term project. And what we want to do is to leave a legacy of this project, because the feeble, the old, the frail is not going to go away. It's going to be here, and it's going to be here for a long time to come. So we want everyone to really support this project. So I've asked Dr. Chan to put it into like a docket to be emailed to all members to endorse it. And when we meet again next week, perhaps we will want to fully endorse it so that we can launch this project as soon as possible. And we can then kickstart the fundraising, and the project will take off. And we hope that by Christmas or Chinese New Year, okay, we will be able to achieve what we want to do. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chan.
Thank you.
So next, okay, it gives me great pleasure, of course, to first thank PDG Haji Andre Suharto for agreeing to come and speak to us. So after hearing, oh, hang on, I think is there a Kaifer today? I saw it on the slide. Yes, sorry.
PP Jimmy is the Kaifer today, I guess.
Okay, yeah. No, the slide moved too.
It's okay, it's okay.
No wonder he's in the green golf jacket.
Hiding.
Okay, my apologies. Yes, so we have this evening our very well-known and very popular past president, Jimmy Wee, who is also instrumental in helping me when I was a road tractor. We do a lot of things together. So this evening, we have the pleasure of asking PP Jimmy to share a little bit about himself. PP Jimmy, please. Thank you.
Thank you, President Luis. I thought it's good that you skipped me just now. Oh, wow, I thought, wow, I could just take it easy. Anyway, good evening to all fellow Rotarians and guests, and also special evening to PDG Andre Suharto for joining us this evening. I do not know, I look around in the gallery, I think most of you already know me, so I don't know what else to share with you, but I'll go through a very brief, I told Secretary Jesse this is going to be a very brief one, right? So let me just go through just show you a few of my slides. There you go. Okay, can you see that? Is it good?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. All right. So this is me, Jimmy Uy, of the Rotary Club of Singapore. I've been a member since 1996, and it's been a pretty smooth journey so far for me in this club, this August club, and I'm glad to have met many of my fellow Rotarians and seeing them come and go. And also, I guess with the new ones, maybe we don't have a chance to know each other during this COVID period. Now, this is my family. There's Jane, my wife, followed by my little one, Avril, and my elder daughter, Sabrina. Sabrina has actually been busy setting up her community of good mental health in Asia. So this was set up during the circuit breaker. So she's spending a fair bit of time. I think she probably get this when she was an interactor back in the RJC. And right now at this moment, in fact, despite the COVID, she's spending her time in Bangkok, not here in Singapore. And this is on my Rotary journey. So what have I gone through? Actually, I started Rotary journey way back in 1976 when I was an interactor back in Malaysia itself. And I remember Paul Paul just entering, right? I remember when Rotarian Paul Paul was sharing his journey, escorting the interactor to Penang for a conference, and I was there. And that was back in 76 when he already a Rotarian. I was just an interactor. And I journeyed on to Rotrac in 78 and became the charter president of Rotrac Club NTU back in 86. And I finally completed my Rotrac journey until I bumped into past President Philip Leong, who brought me into the Rotary Club of Singapore. So throughout the journey in Rotary Club of Singapore, of course, gone through the board of directors to various positions, and finally became the president in 2012, 2013. During that time, of course, during all these years, I got the privilege of chartering the Rotary Community Corps at Kaki Bukit Center, which is a prison school, which is now closed already. And of course, partake in the chartering of the Interact Club of Tanjung Katong Girls School, Global Indian International School, and Bukit Gombak Eagles. Right now, busy with the chartering of the Rotary Inter-Country Committees ASEAN, hoping that this will bring all the 1,570 over clubs in ASEAN together under one voice called the ASEAN Rotary, and of which PDG Andre is part of the team. So that is my whole Rotary journey here. Now in the district itself, I don't want to go through all these things, but I've been involved in district work quite a fair bit. And there was a year when I was a Rotary Youth Service Chair in 2014-15. I think that is PDG during the Andre Soeharto during your DG year. And serve currently as a vocational training team chair under District Rotary Foundation Chair PP Dr. Shahul. So, and currently I'm also a director of the Foundation of Rotary Club of Singapore, and in the work-wise under the National Association of Travel Agents Singapore, I'm the chairman for manpower and training. And because of the current situation, many of the industrial staff has been pivoting to other jobs. So it's also my I guess in a way my calling to see how I can salvage back the jobs and bring back tourism into Singapore. So that's my role in the currently, now that the tourism is almost dead here, but we hope to see it back in the next few months. So that will bring me to the next step of my vocation, where I spent about 20 years in corporate travel, in retail, wholesale, corporate, e-commerce, name it. And then I became a travel entrepreneur in 2004, spending the next 15 years running my own company. And I think since with the COVID in 2019, in fact, before the COVID started, I was away for a couple of years in Bangkok until I came back and got stuck here in Singapore now. But it has made, in a way, I think I'll look at myself as maybe as a travel chain maker. So in my job, I've been doing a lot of these educational tours for kids, and I spend a lot of time with them because I enjoy being involved in the youth. As you can see, my involvement in Rotary is very much with youth as well. And this is how I can relate my youth to where we all want to be this time, back to our youth, and hopefully can be somebody more useful. So I turned my vocation now into service and partake in a number of Rotary events during the disaster time when the Asian tsunami, the Nepal earthquake, and also the Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, the Merapi eruption in Indonesia. So a fair bit of been bringing me around the Southeast Asia, including the Japan tsunami as well. So that is how I've been getting from my vocation to what my calling. So my hobby, very simple. Hobby is basically collecting a Rotary friendship. I think I enjoy very much of my friendship through travel, especially, and many of you probably can remember our trip to Nepal, our trip to Bhutan, and some of you went to Myanmar and Laos and Indonesia and a few other places. I think there was all wonderful memories. And I remember escorting a boy after his operation back to Natuna Island in the middle of South China Sea as well. So this was great memories for me, and I think along the way I built up a lot of good friends through Rotary. So that has been always my hobby, in having to know a lot of Rotarians along the way. So that's about me. I think you want to know, and I would say that there is still, oh, it's not moving. However it is, no matter what, when we travel, I think I always remember one thing, that I always travel when I remember the places and how we turn the places into faces. So this is my motto in terms of my work. And on behalf of my family itself, now I want to wish every one of you and your families, please continue to stay safe, continue to keep happy, and keep well. And I'm sure when travel is back, you know, we will have lots and lots of good friendship and fellowship. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, PP Jimmy. Wow, we certainly would like to be invited to your house.
Thailand.
Yeah, thank you very much for such a wonderful sharing of things that you have done all these years, and in the name of Rotary, we are all very proud of you, and of course we all would like to be like you, but I suppose our energy level is different. You must be solar powered.
But thank you for your friendship, every one of you.
Thank you, PP Jimmy. So now back to sharing, and I'm going to do a repeat broadcast. Repeat broadcast of how our good friend PDG Haji Andre has agreed to come and speak to us. And after, when I did the training for the new incoming board, and I heard PDG speak, I said, wow, I must choke him immediately. And that's what I did that evening after he stopped. And I said, PDG, speak to us. And he was very fast. Within the same evening, he replied, okay. So here we are, privileged to have him. And I would like to ask Past President Mohandas to please do the introduction. Thank you, PP.
Thank you, President Luis. Welcome, PDG Andre. Let me just give a little brief introduction of PDG Andre. PDG Andre Suharto was born in Jakarta. He spent his first few years of primary education in Jakarta and then thereafter in Singapore. He continued to study in England to complete his college and tertiary education. He holds a bachelor's degree in computing science from the University of Essex in England, followed by a postgraduate and diploma in accounting and finance from LSE, the London School of Economics. He is a businessman in the following areas: digital systems integrator, similar to SAP, integrated business system solution provider, authorized Toyota sales and service center, importer and sales of reconditioned luxury passenger cars, export of timber products for the furniture industry. He has taken up permanent residency in the city of Kuching, which is located in Sarawak. It's the richest of the 13 states in Malaysia, on the island of Borneo. He lived in Kuching since 1985 while maintaining his Indonesian citizenship. He's a charter member of the Rotary Club of Kuching Central since 1986. He was the club president in 1995-96 and thereafter has been very active at the district level. He was the first person who was appointed district trainer as soon as RI allowed such a position to be held by a non-PDG. I must say that he was my trainer during that time when he was in that position, when I was a PE of our club. He was elected as district 3310 governor for the Rotary year 2014-15 when past President Gary Huang was the RI president. He was also the first foreign person to be elected district governor in District 3310, which spans, as we know, across 3 countries, namely Brunei, Singapore, and part of Malaysia. Upon completion of his tenure as district governor, he continued to be active in the district and at the zone level. He was governor's nominee training seminar team leader and that's for the governor nominees, and speaker at the governor's-elect training seminar for zones 1B, 9, and 10, which was concluded on 16th November 2020. He is currently Rotary Regional Public Image Coordinator for zones 10B and 10C, covering Brunei, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar for 2022. He was also Rotary International Assembly training leader in 2020 and 2021 to train the 2020, 21, 21, 22 district governor-elects respectively. He was recently conferred the District 3310 Governor's Special Award in May 2021 for his immense contributions towards immense contribution towards uplifting the standards of training in the district in his capacity as District 3310 Learning and Development Committee Chairman. So today in his talk, we all look forward in learning from his talk. PDG Andre will be sharing the latest updates on RI's implementation of Rotary Action Plan in order for us to move closer to Rotary's vision. Thank you very much, and welcome, PDG Andre. We look forward to listening to you now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Past President Mohandas, for that very kind introduction. Yes, it has gone a long, long way past when I was the trainer and you president-elect. I'm not too sure whether, are you able to listen to my voice?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
And first of all, before I start, I must thank Rotarian Joseph Chua and as well as Jessica for making all the arrangements to make it possible for me to be here this evening. And good evening, President Louis Lim. It's good to be here and seeing you in action as a president, and as well as President-elect James Lee. I think he is here, right? Distinguished past presidents and Rotarians and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation for me to be here and to share this very important aspect of Rotary, which is called the Rotary Action Plan. This is a strategic direction that Rotary has actually implemented and rolled out worldwide. And I think it is very important for Rotarians, clubs, leaders, grassroots Rotarians at the district, at the zone, and as well as the headquarters to follow through so that we will be able to move along the same direction to achieve our vision. So let me start by saying that all this started off in 2015 when Rotary International conducted a survey with 1 million respondents comprising of Rotarians, non-Rotarians, ex-Rotarians, and members of the public, volunteers, and anyone out there across 15 countries. One of the questions that was asked was, what would motivate you to join a service organization? And the results of that survey was categorized into 4. They said that they wanted to join an organization that has got a purpose, an opportunity that can be provided for them to do community service. And these 1 million respondents also said that they wanted to join an organization that have causes that are important, and that this organization have established reputation with long heritage, just like Rotary. And last but not least, they wanted to join an organization that has got programs that can make a difference locally. And if in that particular survey, we also realized that our global awareness is outstanding. Although we are not number 1, but 3 out of 4 people surveyed were aware about Rotary. And in fact, we are in the top 3 in terms of awareness. However, only 35% of them said that Rotary is an organization for people like them. Why is that so? Well, it is because most had only a vague idea of exactly how we do good in the world. They can recognize this Rotary wheel. They know that we are people doing good, but they do not know how we do good in the world. And only a quarter of them know someone in Rotary. As a result of that, the RI Strategic Planning Committee used the results of the survey and recommended to the board a vision statement. I'm not too sure how many of you were aware, but Rotary never had a vision statement. We only had mission statement. And I think a lot of you by now would have already come across this statement that says, together We see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. Basically, we need to make impactful action that can create lasting change everywhere we are. Last but not least, the change in ourselves. And for those of you who have been in Rotary long enough, I think you know that the longer you have been involved in Rotary, the change are more obvious in you, and it is a change for the better. And this vision statement was approved by the Rotary Board of Directors as well as the Board of Trustees in June 2017. So with the vision statement, and you all know that Rotarians are people of action, how do we get there? We obviously need strategies, and these strategies has been defined to help us to reach that vision within 5 years. That was the mandate given by the board. Now, what are the strategies? The strategies are actually the strategic priorities, and there are 4 of them, plus 14 sets of objectives. And these actually are referred to as the action plan. And it was approved by the Rotary Board of Directors and Board of Trustees in June 2018. So you can see it was 3 years after the survey. The survey was done in 2015, and then in 2017, the vision statement was approved and then followed by this Rotary Action Plan in June 2018. So as I mentioned earlier on, there are actually 4 priorities and not in any order of importance. Number 1, increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. And these were all rolled out. And I will show you to you later on when it was actually rolled out. And these are the 14 objectives that comes under the 4 strategic priorities. We have increased our impact, and that is related to having the global grant to do big project with big impact, where we need to do community needs assessment so that we will be able to know which project we need to prioritize with the limited resources that we have. Second is actually about expanding our reach, where we can actually grow the Rotary organization instead of continuing to stay at 1.2 million by exploring new channels and getting more people to be involved with Rotary. It does not matter whether or not they join Rotary. The main aim is to invite them to be involved with your activities so that they will have a memorable experience working with Rotary and Rotarians, and that they can actually then viral that feel-good factor with a lot of other people. Third is about the enhanced participant engagement, giving emphasis on the importance to make sure that we listen to the needs and expectation of our members and as well as all participants that have a link with Rotary. We need to listen to their view. We need to make sure that we offer value for the money that they are actually joining and their time that they actually join in Rotary. And increase our ability to adapt is actually more apparent right now since the COVID pandemic has come into the global scenario. So with that vision statement that I have just shared with you, and we being people of action, we get to that vision in 5 years using the action plan, the Rotary's action plan. So in the timeline, as I mentioned, 2015, that was when the survey was actually carried out. And in 2017, that was when that vision statement was approved. And a year later, in June 2018, that was when the action plan was approved. And in 2019, a year later, that was when the action plan has been actually rolled out until now. This Rotary year is the 3rd year, right? And it is subject for review in June 2024. Some of you would have actually received a survey questionnaires from John Hugo in January 2021. So that will represent the 2nd survey. I don't seem to be able to move my cursor. Let me just, okay. Now, how do we move from action 1 to action 4? Now, having invested in a lot of fellowships, Rotarians actually want to preserve and invest in relationships. Why? Because we want to build social capital so that together we can get expertise based on our vocational strength to customize solutions to address the needs of the communities, just like the End Polio initiative. And that is, in fact, is a legacy, and we should capitalize on that big initiative for the purpose of branding in Rotary. And the sixth area of focus through the Global Grant has made an impact in the community around us and globally. And as of 1st of July last month, we have added the concern for environment as the seventh area of focus. And we will continue to do that. So how do we know if a project is impactful? As I mentioned earlier on, we need to do community needs assessment. And we need to make sure that the project is sustainable. And these are important components not only for Global Grant, but any other projects that are funded by even your own funding. So together, let's prove that our impact on the world has just begun. The next action plan priority number 2 is about expanding our reach. As I mentioned earlier on, we need to create new channels. We got to go into digital marketing so that people will be able to know, and there is a need for us to implement good strategy for us to increase the branding of Rotary. Use new models to bring people together to experience the power of Rotary. And how do we do that? Well, Sheikh Ahmeta has actually encouraged Rotarians and clubs to do what they call it Rotary Days of Service. This is where hands-on projects are actually carried out by at least 2 clubs, and where the participants in that particular project comprises of at least 25% of them are non-Rotarians. Give them the opportunity for them to be involved so that they will have a memorable experience working with Rotary and Rotary clubs, and as well as Rotarians. And in the process, if we continue to practice to be a good Rotary brand ambassador, everywhere we go, by reflecting our core values, this will inspire people who are connected with us outside of the Rotary circle. So let's build the connection and opportunities that will allow people who have the same drive and passion to do the same with us. Action plan number 3, as I mentioned earlier on, this is about enhanced participant engagement, the importance in continuously engaging members, getting to know their expectation and their needs, and getting feedback from them, and listen and make improvement, and as well as to listen to the expectations of incoming members and potential members, and take the results to determine the action plan to enhance their engagement, so that they feel that their views are being valued and that the club can grow through inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the Rotary Learning Center is another area where, being a Rotarian, you are able to access a lot of online learning courses that are even outside of the Rotary domain. That includes leadership and as well as other areas that could be of interest to all of you. So let's recommit to putting the needs and expectation and growth of our participants, that means Rotarians and non-Rotarians, at the center of all that we do. And last but not least, action plan number 4 about increasing our ability to adapt. Charles Darwin has already mentioned that it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is one that is most adaptable to change. And we have to change if Rotary is going to survive for more than another century. And I've mentioned earlier on, the COVID-19 pandemic has forced us to actually leapfrog the change by adapting to the new norm. Everybody is going into this Zoom virtual meeting and expanded our connection throughout the world. Rotary has adapted also by making incremental changes over the years. That includes the virtual meeting and trainings for the International Assembly. That was actually the platform where the district governor-elect were trained this particular year in February. For the very first time, it was conducted virtually. So our inability to increase our adaptability may negate our existence in the community. So therefore, let's stay true to ourselves and make sure that we continuously adapt or changes so that we can survive in the next 150 years. With that, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you about the Rotary Action Plan. And I hope that this will give you a better idea to move everybody into the same direction. Thank you.
Thank you, PDG, Andre. What a lovely speech, and we all learned so much from this. The Rotary Action Plan sounds like a lot of things to do, and I'm sure Rotary Club of Singapore members shall try to live up to that expectation. Thank you again, and now it gives me great pleasure to be asking our past president, Perlita, to give a vote of thanks. PP Perlita, please.
Oh, thank you very much. I thought we were going to ask him some questions.
Oh yeah, okay.
No.
Okay, we can ask some questions. I always keep forgetting, you're always in a hurry to finish the meeting. Okay, question time. Thank you, PP Perlita, for reminding.
Just in case. It's not very often that we catch hold of PDG Andre, so
Yes,
this is
that's
try
right.
to catch him.
Especially our newer members, please feel free to ask our Guruji.
Yes, if there's any question, I will try to answer them.
Maybe I can ask a question, because I think theory is always very good and sort of very understandable. But Andre, you are so long involved in the Rotary sort of world and see the journey. So how do you see the execution of the take up in the different clubs? I mean, what is your feel in terms of this is really where every club is basically sort of rallied behind the plan?
Thank you, Bridget, for asking that question. And in fact, that is the reason why when President Louis actually asked me what topic to speak, I actually said that this could be the topic because I think not all Rotarians have come to know about it. But for your information, the district governor-elect at that point in time, and as well as the president-elect, went through this training all based on the action plan. That means all their training materials at the International Assembly, at the president-elect training, are all actually configured based on the 4 strategic priorities. Now, having said that, there are still Rotarians who are confused with the words, like, expanding our reach. What do you mean by that? And it is very, very important. That's why I said we need to simplify it, because I find that the materials from Rotary International are sometimes very superficial and very high level that you cannot relate what they're trying to say. So this set of slides have been modified, and I actually incorporated all the necessary things so that it can make people more understanding about the Rotary Action Plan. So basically, as I mentioned, when you talk about impact, it is about project. So you need to understand to be able to do projects that give you the biggest impact. And with every project, we all have limited resources in terms of manpower, in terms of funding, and many other things, even expertise for that matter, right? And in terms of time for the implementation. So therefore, how do we know that which project we need to implement? That's why I focus to say that you must implement it based on your needs assessment. The project with the biggest needs should be given the highest priority, so that with the limited funds, you got more mileage to complete the project. And with impactful project, with beneficiaries that are happy receiving the benefit of that project, you can do a lot of good mileage on your PR, public image, that you can then shout to the world and say that this is what we have done. It's not bragging, but what we actually have done to make a difference, to make lasting change in the communities. That's the reason why Rotary International has emphasized storytelling, because in everything that we do, they are actually inspiring stories. And that's why Rotarians have been encouraged to share their stories. Like for instance, I decided to do these cataract operations, and I got in touch with this, I got to know with this particular beneficiary, a fisherman who couldn't see with both eyes, and he got to earn a living to go out to the sea on his boat. And so what happened? So he got to ask one of his grandson to come along with him and not go to school. So you know what he thought? He thought that that's the end of it. He will never be able to see anymore. Because these people didn't know that cataract can be rectified. So when the eyesight has been restored, he was overwhelmed with joy, and he thanked us and he said, "May God bless you." To him, it's like a miracle. And by doing that, we are able to put the son back to school so that they can have brighter future. Now, these are the kind of stories that we have to share with people. And I'm sure people who are hearing a lot of these good stories, and your club have done a lot of big impactful projects, they will be attracted to join Rotary. It doesn't matter whether they are going to be members, as long as they become volunteers, they can become donors, they can just on an ad hoc basis join you in your activity. It doesn't matter. All we need is to increase the number of people to be connected with Rotary activities. I hope that.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I think that explains a lot. And I think it's really the groundwork that the people are connected to what is really going on. And, so thank you. Thank you, Andre.
Most welcome. Yeah.
Can we have some more questions, please?
Can I ask a question, President Lewis?
Oh, yes, of course.
The guru of the District Rotary Foundation asking me a question.
First of all, thank you, PDG Andre, for speaking to our club.
Yes.
It's always great to listen to you. I never grow tired of it, so thank you very much. My question is as follows. With reference to Rotary's 4 strategic priorities, which of these do you think will be a challenge for District 3310 in general and Rotary Club of Singapore in particular? Thank you.
That is a very good and very difficult question to answer. Based on the interaction with a lot of Rotarians, among the 4 strategic priorities, you know what they said the most difficult to adopt is actually the last one: increase our ability to adapt. And I think it is true, because in order for us to embrace changes for the first 3, increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, we need to actually incorporate some changes, some adaptations. Because if your club and Rotarians are already so used in doing project without community needs assessment, and now you have to do it, that means you got to change. That means increase your ability to adapt. But if you refuse to change, then you will not make progress. So I think increase our ability to adapt is the most challenging, because it encompasses the other 3 strategic priorities. That's my thought.
Thank you. Thank you very much, BDG.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Yeah, PDG Andre, thank you for that. Very insightful. It was definitely news to me. I have less than a year in Rotary, and first time I'm hearing about this. So thank you for that. Just something which I was a bit curious about. How is progress along these strategic initiatives being planned? Is that being tracked year on year for improvements? And the second part of that, you did mention that there was a second survey which was done. Were the results dramatically different? Does that show that there has been an improvement in the perception and the impact of Rotary over the first survey?
Sorry, I couldn't hear your first question. There was some breaking up there.
Apologies, my connection is a bit bad. The first part was to understand how the progress of this is being tracked. How are we tracking improvements on these 4 initiatives year on year?
Oh, okay. All right. At the Rotary International level, the RI president team and what they plan to do, or in this case, Sheikh Ameta wants to do, like for instance, empowering girls, and then he wanted to do the Rotary Days of Service. These are all actually in line with the 4 strategic priorities. And they RI President Chikameta wanted each district to compile the number of projects, the number of beneficiaries, the amount of dollars you have actually spent, the number of volunteers, Rotarians and non-Rotarians involved in the project, and then how many members being actually recruited, whether there is any correlation between the number and the impactful projects that you have done with increase in numbers of Rotarians, and whether or not those impactful projects being used for public image to promote Rotary and their work so that non-Rotarians are able to listen to it and get inspired and want to join, get interested and they want to join, all right? On your question number 2, the result of the survey have not been tabulated yet. I suppose because it is only now about 4 or 5 months, I think they are busy tabulating it, but I got a feeling that this result will be incorporated in the next training materials for the district governor-elect when they go to Florida in January for their training. Does that answer the question? Thanks.
It does. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
PDG, this is Suresh Kirti. I just want to ask a question, a sequel to what Vinit said. He wanted to know about how the progress is being tracked. My question is, how much improvement has been impacted on the district since the action plan has come into place a year back or 2 years?
Are you referring to our district?
Yeah, to our district. What are the changes that have happened in the 4 priorities?
Okay, first of all, for the very first time in the District 3310, the President-elect training materials have been actually made, adapted based on the 4 strategic priorities. So no longer like the traditional, Rotary Foundation, public image, and so forth. So it's been geared based on the 4 strategic priorities. I give you an example. The first session for President-elect was increasing our impact. And number 2 was expanding our reach, and then hashtag people of action, and so forth. So we have already started that. And then what happened is that at the district level, we hope that the president who is currently now sitting in office would actually then lead each respective club committees along these directions. Now, whether or not the impact has been felt, I think it is too early to measure at the moment at the district level, but that is the kind of changes that we have already done. Now, next year, there'll be a new district trainer. I hope that depending again on RI, where their direction is and how much fine tuning they do with this, the 4 strategic priorities, because I'm sure they are evaluating it and they are making changes and fine tuning all the materials, learning materials, and so forth. If you look at the online learning course today, as of February, the total number of online learning modules available at the Rotary Learning Center have increased tremendously. And there are more and more coming out. That's the reason why RI today, based on the 4 strategic priorities, they have come out with what they call it the diversity, equity, and inclusion statement, to make sure that your club membership is reflective of your community. I think the Rotary Club of Singapore is a fine example because you have a variety of members from different countries, different religion, different races, and so forth, different languages, all coming in under the umbrella of the Rotary Club of Singapore. And why Rotary International wanted to emphasize this is because they want to make sure that with a variety of members coming in from different backgrounds, you will have a lot of ideas and innovations coming in that can help you in the rollout of all your club activities. So if you ask me, what is the impact at this hour now at the district level, I think it's a bit too early to feel it. I hope to be able to revisit this at the end of this calendar year in perhaps December. Does that answer the question,
Can I
Suresh?
just add, add something, PDG?
Yes, go ahead.
I think Vinit was right in saying that at the club level, sometimes we members don't get to hear some of the information and policies of Rotary. So this is where I would encourage members to participate in district activities, where you have an opportunity to understand a bit more regarding Rotary's policies and directions that it's going. To that end, I would like to encourage everybody to participate in the upcoming 3-in-1 Vibrant Club seminar, starting this Sunday as well as the following Sunday. Now, just to add to what PDG has said regarding Suresh's question about the impact it has so far in our district, what I can observe is quite a number of clubs now are making an effort to understand a little bit better the community needs before they embark on projects. And we're also seeing a big uptake of clubs wanting to be involved in global grants, either in our district and overseas. So these are all the anecdotal changes that I've observed as the foundation chair. And of course, our club, like PDG Andre has said, we've taken the lead when it comes to this kind of big projects and need assessment. But it doesn't mean that more of our members shouldn't be involved. So I would strongly encourage you to get involved with district activities. Thank you.
Thank you, DRFC. Shahul, thank you for promoting the Vibrant Club workshop. Yes, that Vibrant Club workshop again is tailored, or rather is based on the action plan, 4 strategic priorities of the action plan.
Yes, I've actually posted that in our announcement for members to participate. So for those who need it, again, I will repost it one more time. I think it's good to have it. District matters are really very varied and very deep in the Rotary learning. So can we have some questions? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Whilst we are talking of having an understanding of the district concepts, should we be concentrating a little bit on our own club with these specific action plans, so that we at the local level understand this a little more effectively than trying to look at it from a wider point of view of the district or the Rotary International?
Thank you, Tom. Nice to see you here, and a very good question. Yes, and that's the reason why I regularly give talk about the action plan, because in order for the Rotarians and in the club to be able to carry out these 4 strategic priorities based on the localized environment, they need to understand the action plan. And one way to do that is by either inviting me to give a talk or attending some of the district events. I gave a talk of this action plan at the opening of the district training assembly. But not all Rotarians were able to make it. So that's the reason why I sometimes go from club to club to do my job to promote this action plan, not only in our district, but even in other districts as well. So yes, you are correct. We should take it and see how we can actually tune it towards your club, your club environment, so that it can relate much better with your club members and the community around you. Agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
PDG, we have a club trainer.
Who is that?
PE James Lee.
He is well qualified. He is a member of my district learning and development committee.
That's right. So PE James Lee, do you have any questions?
Someone is Jide, is it? Jide Ogunlei?
Yes, correct. That's correct. Thank you so much, PDG Andre, for that beautiful presentation. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, all right then. So I was going to ask, would it be possible to invite you to give a speech like this, a lecture like this, in District 910 in Nigeria? So my club, I feel like it would help us a great deal if we can have you share this talk. I had to send this message to a few of my members, but they couldn't join in, because they started getting really interesting. But I sent to my president and noticed the shots and everything. So I'm asking if it would be possible to invite you to give this same talk to members of my club in Lagos.
Yes, I'll be more than pleased to help. Right, I will send you the my email address later on in the chat. Right.
Okay, sir.
Just give me advance notice.
I think PDG
Okay, I
Andre
will.
Nigerian very well.
All right. Thank you so much, PDG Andre. Thank you.
Thank you.
So can we have one last question, please? Maybe from our newer Rotarians? I mean, in comparison, our club has people who are 30 years in the club. So new does not mean just 3 months, could be 3 years, you're still new. Okay, so on prospective members, if you want to find out why you should become a Rotarian, prospective members, you can ask questions.
Okay, I go.
Okay, Anita, thank you.
Yeah, so Mr. Andre.
Sure.
So I just wanted to, yeah, so I am just very impressed by the presentation. And one thing which really inspired me is like to adapt to changes. And that is the way to go. Yeah. So, and when we say this, right? And so what is Rotary doing around that? What are the actions which was taken earlier, and now what is that we are doing different now?
Wow, that is a very difficult question, Anita, but thank you for raising it up, and thank you for being here. Let me see, where should I start? What Rotary has changed, right, to become adaptable? Okay, number one, Rotary has gone into digitalization. So club administration is done online today. In the old days, we used to send in Excel form the name of the incoming club officers for the following year. Today, you go into the My Rotary and you do all the changes. But we have challenges because a lot of club officers have problems trying to access My Rotary because either they are not comfortable with technology, or some maybe are not so fast in adapting to the change. All right, that's one. The other changes is that, we have Rotaract. The Rotaract are actually used to be those who are between 18 and 30 years old. And they are basically in higher education institution, but you also have Rotaract clubs that are in the community, not attached to a particular educational institution. Today, Rotary has taken off the maximum limit of age for being a Rotaractor, and they are trying to get Rotaractors to be closer with the Rotarian. The reason is because for so many years, our membership has remained 1.2 million. You have 10,000 new members coming in, you have 10,000 current members who left, right?
Okay.
And if you look at the new Rotarians coming in, not many of them are actually Rotaractors.
I see.
Now that is actually a wonder. Why? Because they then realize that the interaction between Rotaractors and Rotarians are not close enough. By right, Rotaractor should provide the what do you call it? Should be the feed into the funnel for new members into Rotary. But the reality is that not many Rotaractors join Rotary Club. So, and as well as our public image, what people perceive us outside are, number one, they say that, oh, too many senior old people, all right? Or you must be very wealthy to be a Rotarian. And they only eat and dine in expensive places, right? Now, whose fault is it for giving this kind of perception to members of the public? It is us, ourselves as Rotarian. And that's why Rotary has invested a lot of money in making sure that Rotarians spend a considerable amount of time in public image, improving our public image. So that number one, we must be consistent with our logo. Number two, whenever we take photograph, it is not the kind of photo where we are posing at the camera, handing over checks or goods, right? It should reflect that we are actually people of action.
Yeah.
And by looking at this picture, coupled with short, inspiring stories, if you can post it into the social media, this is where we think we can capitalize on those untapped area where we have not approached, or rather not promoted, Rotary to this group of people.
Wow,
So
that's great. Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, that works. I see.
We have still a lot of work to do.
Uh-huh.
Right, but
Yeah.
this is just some of the example. I mean, I can tell you a lot of other things, but due to time constraint, I think this example is just something that I can share with you. And thank you for asking that question.
Thank you, Anita, for the
Thank you.
questions. I think we all learned from that question as well. Unfortunately, we have to move on and close it. Perhaps this, so serious about the timing is also a reflection of our public image. We are so rigid, right? We can't let our hair down. But that is what it is. We'll leave it to the next president to deal with how this can be solved. But for now, we invite PP Pelita to give a vote of thanks.
Okay, fellow Rotarians and friends, good evening. It gives me great pleasure to give the vote of thanks to my very own best class district governor for the year 2014 and 15. He was a great mentor to all of us presidents during that time, but more so to myself because I was right there when he started the district training for Rotarians as far back as 19 years ago, and has now risen to become global trainer of Rotary International. I'm so proud of you, indeed. So after listening to the Rotary Action Plan, don't we all feel more proud of being Rotarians? Right? We are, right? So tonight, PDG Andre gave us a comprehensive insight of where Rotary came from and where it's going to be in the next few years. Are we on track? The next review is in 2024. But I think as far as Rotary Club of Singapore is concerned, I think we have done a long way. We've gone a long way to being on track, especially with the help of the RFC chair, Dr. Shahul Hamid, who has given us, who has allowed us to undertake projects of very big impact to the community, not only in the region but abroad, everywhere we can help, and that's really fantastic. So we've done work, we have done projects, we are sustainable and within the 6 areas of service, and hopefully one coming soon with the 7th area of service. So thank you so much again, PDG Andre, for a greater awakening for all of us to be more vibrant and relevant to our vision. Thank you. Let us give PDG Andre a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pelita.
Yeah, we need to unmute and say thank you. Thank you.
For the kind words.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, PP Pelita. And once again, thank you, Pak Haji. And now for next week, we continue with our training. As I said, much as we always like to have new speakers coming to speak to us about the moon, the stars, the planets, the water, but we still need to be rooted in what we are doing as Rotarians. And of course, we need our gurus to all come and speak to us. So next week, we have past District Governor Chew Kim Bok to address us. The topic will be announced shortly. So thank you all for attending. In fact, if you all have any further questions, I'm sure some of you have, after listening, and then it seems so deep and so difficult to understand even when PDG has addressed us. Do share your questions. You can send your questions to me and I will forward to PDG for him to answer you. Okay, thank you all, and we wish you all a good evening. Stay back for some fellowship if you like. Meeting is closed.
Thank you all. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Good evening.